No.
We're rolling.
What's up? It's Sammy, the Spanish guy Gavar, and new TNT champion. And you, yes, you, right now are listening to the
Bob Culture Podcast.
Bob Culture Podcast.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Nothing between the lines of the page or at a time. Forgiveness is for angels, but this angel fell out of line. That's it, no second chance or redemption can be found. 'Cause you can't run the devil and the devil is hunting you down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into a very special, absolutely amazing edition of the BCB. Super excited to welcome in a big up-and-comer on the scene. We have seen him at Pro Wrestling Magic, all over IWTV. Please welcome to the show. This is long overdue. Our good friend, ABBS. ABBS, what up, man? How are you, bro?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me, Rob. Thanks for that excellent little pun you had there.
See, hashtag pun disputed. Yeah, man, I got you, bro. I got actually, unbeknownst to you, I do have your autograph right here.
Oh, is that the Leapfrog turnbuckle?
That's the turnbuckle. I sponsored you guys. I think it was the
that
Macau
was-
Frog Sport. That's what it was.
Frog Sport, yeah.
Why the
Yeah.
I'm away from the microphone. I'm sorry. Why the double B? Because it's an ABBS ABS. Why the double B?
Well, it does technically stand for something. It's Andrew's Better Body System.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
It's-
Okay.
The whole thing started where I was like playing some sort of fake fitness guru type of thing.
Yeah.
But then that just got kind of silly and I just started becoming myself. But and then and everybody just calls me Abs though. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not going away. But tell us how, obviously you worked in like, the gear, you have the abs, like tell us how that came into play and all that stuff.
The abs are very real. I've always had them. So
Sure. Of course.
But like when I first started, I was just sort of doing the basic thing, working under my name, working in only one place. And then I always figured I'm not a tough guy, so I'm not going to pretend to be one. So therefore I got to sort of do something different from, I guess, what most people would do and kind of just amp up myself a little bit. Cause I'm no tough guy. So I can't, if I pretended to be one, I don't think it would be believable at all. So that's where I just started being myself a bit more.
Yeah, but there's something about you that really stands out. And you talk about, hey, I'm not trying to be Mr. Tough Guy Wrestler. It seems like you try to almost approach a little bit, which I personally like. I like kind of not, some people are set in their ways in wrestling and I like new and innovative. And I see a crop of you young guys coming in, Johnny Moran, Alex, the Goons, Erica, like there's just this Shane Fair. There's this new way of thinking, a little fourth wall breaking, a little bit more cinematic. Jay George. I could go on and on, man. You seem to be kind of on that same train. And also I can tell you think a lot about your persona, a little bit of that comedy in there as well.
Yeah, I always liked comedy wrestling. I don't identify myself as much of a comedy guy.
Right.
It does kind of pigeonhole you a little bit.
I was just going to say, I see it all the time. Yeah.
Like, I'm totally okay with being thrown in any situation, whether it's in a very serious situation or a very funny situation. I'm open to literally everything. But I believe in character work and gimmick stuff as much as I like the actual technical aspect of wrestling. So that's my belief.
Yeah, you seem very smart already at a young age about the business, man. Did you study wrestling growing up? I mean, not to be cliche here, man. Did you study it growing up, man? Were you a big fan growing up?
Thanks for calling me young, by the way. But
yeah, well, I'm old. I'm an old guy. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, you'd be shocked when I told you my age. But anyway, that's not the point. Okay, so here's where this tricky stuff comes in, because wrestling I didn't get into until, here's how you know I'm probably going to date myself.
Okay.
Probably figure my age. I didn't get into wrestling until I was like 18 or 19 years old.
Okay, so about 20 for me. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay.
Freshman year of college.
Same.
I mean,
This is weird. Okay.
I always respected wrestling, but when I told you I'm in school, I am in school, but I also went to college before that.
Oh,
so
okay. I thought okay, but go ahead. I thought this might have been your first run. Okay.
no, okay. But like, what was I saying? Yeah, okay. Wrestling came a bit late for me, but I always respected wrestling. I never was one of those kids that's like, oh, you like wrestling? It's so fake. Well, I always respected it, so it's and always admired the theatricality. I guess the earliest thing I do remember, I was back when I had illegal cable. I had a black box in my room. I bet we all had that as kids.
Okay.
The elite and I somehow got a pay-per-view, and it was in 2004, and somehow I ended up watching the Eddie Guerrero Brock Lesnar match at No Way Out. Sure. And I kind of enjoyed it. It didn't like give me a shining moment of, oh, I love wrestling, but I enjoyed it.
Good match.
And that was like probably the earliest match I remember watching. Funny thing is, my grandfather was a fan of wrestling and still is, actually. At 90 years old, he watches wrestling still. I think he's watching Monday Night Raw right now.
That's awesome.
But he always watched it, and I never got into it when I was much younger, despite him always trying to show me. But now he can appreciate it, so I can talk to him about wrestling, mostly WWE. He doesn't know anything else, but
that's funny. Very, very similar situation with me, because now I'm behind the curtain, I'm doing the podcast and all that stuff. I came up in the music scene, conversely, but my best friend, Vac, who's on the show, we were best friends since we were 4 years old. He was always into it. I wasn't. I like the figures and the video games and stuff. I didn't necessarily respect it. And I was like, no, it's fake. It's fake. Now I have so much more respect for it. But when we were in college, freshman year, I saw Mysterio flying around the ring. That's how I got into it, Ruthless Aggression era. So that's when I came into it. I really loved the high flying stuff. So that's what brought me in. Was there a guy that you connected with like right away?
Sheamus.
Really? Sheamus? You don't hear that one a lot. Now, why Sheamus?
Because he was the first guy I really saw. And I guess, I don't know. It just kind of stuck. I liked him. And I guess I was into all Irish things at that point. So I see this Irish guy like, oh, I like him. But he also had a great look, and I did like his work. And I always admire someone who refuses to get a tan, probably can't even get a tan. So, Irish people, whatever.
That's funny. Sheamus, though, I think that's the first time we heard. And no disrespect, I like Sheamus a lot. He's doing some great stuff. Good to see him coming back from some major injuries. Did some great stuff with his title runs. Great stuff with the bar.
Happy getting some actual recognition now. People are actually admiring his work, and it's I appreciate that, because I actually saw him. Funny enough, when I first saw him, he was beating up my current favorite wrestler, who I got into because of watching this. It was Finlay. He was beating up Finlay.
Wow. Okay. That's very interesting. I wish that you get a chance to meet him someday. There's also another great wrestler, that Irish wrestler, Rick O'Shea, another great Irish fellow as well. Have you got to meet any of your favorites?
Well, I did meet Sheamus at a SmackDown once. He signed a thing for me and said thank you for being a fan. It was they were rushing out of the It was at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. It was after a SmackDown or something. Everyone was just swarming people. I think we saw someone try to fight Mark Henry, which is a bad idea.
Oh boy!
And this is when Mark Henry was peak heel run. Mark Henry. So
Hall of Pain. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a bad idea in any sense, but it was great.
Wow. And Finlay too. So why Finlay?
Finlay was I don't know.
He loved the fight.
And then I think the Shillelagh stuff was fun.
Yeah,
I just started that. He's a person I really started diving into when I really started to watch go back and watch wrestling. And then through that I kind of discovered World of Sport, and then boom, I kind of became a British wrestling fan.
Interesting. So and Finlay, big part of developing the women's division and really giving the women a shot at the time, man. So that's very interesting to me. Do you adapt any of your in-ring style? Do you take little pieces from some of your favorites like that?
Well, maybe when I get aggressive, because those guys tend to be more aggressive, and the last thing I am in the ring is aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I asked. Right. It's very interesting. And you commented on this earlier. It's very interesting to me. Because I notice sometimes, and to no fault of anyone's, just as an outsider looking in, I notice a lot of times tag teams, certain factions, and comedy wrestlers get really pigeonholed. Not to say in any way it's frowned upon. It brings smiles to faces. That's what it's all about.
Right.
I love it. Like, there's so many great teams that I love that can do all of it, but at the same time they can do the comedy, but they can go, man. So I love that you're aware of that. Are you like trying to do more serious stuff? Because I kind of liked what you were doing with the Goons, kind of like trying to get into the Goons. I thought that was like a cool storyline, man. Would you want to elaborate on that kind of stuff?
I mean, I hope we can further continue with that, but I just really like working with the Goons, and I really like working with Killian, especially Killian. Like, dude's so good. I worked him at the Leapfrog Cybernetico that we did at GCW, and they had the 24-hour thing, and he made me look like $1 million there.
I gotta watch that one. Okay, that's awesome.
It was fun, but like he made me. He's so good. He's so good, and I love Dust. Despite what we portray out there, I love Big Dust to death.
He's a national treasure.
The sweetest man on the planet.
That's it. Would you?
But as far as storyline, I hate the Goons. Fuck them.
Yeah. That's it.
But no, I just feel like it makes the most sense for me at this point, because I like to think our whole storyline dates back to even Leapfrog, where I've interacted with them on Twitter before, so it's like why not just amp up that I'm just trying to become a Goon at this point, and at this point, I feel like I've worked every Goon in a match in some respect, except for a couple others.
Yeah, they're great, man. Killian is always fantastic. Big Dust, I will always say, is a national treasure. The stuff he does is hashtag wrestling fashion winner as well. He does some great stuff outside the ring. He's great with the crowd. He's great at reacting to the audience.
I actually had a fantastic match at Invictus Pro Wrestling back in July.
Okay,
with Miles. Miles is fantastic too.
Yes,
he's so good. Dust was the manager also, and like it was like a Hell's Kitchen match where it was technically almost like a hardcore death match, but with food items. I did the Masada skewer spot with uncooked spaghetti, and I jammed it in his head.
That's amazing. That is amazing. I love pop for that.
The thing with the new say about comedy, like that, it's supposed to be. We took it completely seriously, but it's just funny. Like me taking a juicer thing and squeezing a lemon in Big Dust's eyes. Nice. Miles spanked me in the ass with a wooden spoon.
This is Invictus?
Yeah.
I guess if I can find that.
That's the last time I worked for Invictus. Yeah, it was their like Rising Star Showcase in July. It's really good. But as we say about comedy wrestling and tag team and all that, I firmly believe every wrestling show, there should be spots on the card for at least 1 or 2 tag matches, and there should always be like a fun, lighthearted, not necessarily comedy, but like fun, lighthearted match on every show. I don't care what you're trying to portray. You can have everything else you want in the rest of the card. That's fine. But I think there should always be like one genuinely fun, lighthearted match or moment.
I love that, man. I agree. And I'm not a promoter or a booker. I don't intend to be, but I certainly take.
And I'm not trying to rub people the wrong way with that.
No, not at all.
I just feel like everyone should believe that. And everyone does them though. I respect everyone for doing what they want to do.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm still, doing the podcast for a while, but just finished my rookie year behind the curtain, the commentary, the backstage interviewing, all that stuff. And very thankful and grateful. And I am just, at this point, I'm just listening. Obviously, as a journalist, I form my own opinions. Looking at it from a business perspective, I form my own opinions, man. And at the end of the day, I just love to see you guys get that opportunity, man, because I have never seen a profession where people get to the professional level of something so frequently. We're so thankful for so many of our friends getting that chance on AEW Dark. More so, a lot of our friends from 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, signed on NXT, signed on AEW, man. Is that something you take notice of? And how do you feel when you see some other guys get that opportunity?
Well, not many people I know have really sort of been signed anywhere yet, or a few people have had probably some moments on Dark, but like I always genuinely feel happy because I get to say I worked them. I get to just vainly just say I worked that guy before he was famous, before he came on TV. But But also I'm genuinely happy for when people get opportunities like that. I dig what AEW is doing with the whole dark stuff.
Absolutely.
Like you're on there for only 5 minutes. You're on there. It's AEW. It may not be their TV product, but you're there.
Dude, you're there. You get to put it on the resume. You get that little speedy photo. You get the banner.
Yep. You have quality match footage to show promoters.
And, you know, I know tag teams have been there and they got to work with FTR. They got to work with Jurassic Express, man. It's opportunity. It's repetition. It's experience, man. So I'm so happy for what they're doing because we're not used to just different indie talent every week. It's amazing. Obviously, got to ask you this. Is that something you'd like to do to get that AEW dark moment?
Of course. AEW, I think, is definitely on top of my list for places because, like, I'm let's face it, I'm not a big fan of the WWE product now. And
right.
Most people probably are at this point. Like, they're not, like, they're all saying that. Like, so, and like with their whole things, like, I definitely think WWE is off my radar at this point.
Right.
And I'm probably not on theirs. So, and I'm fine with that. I've dropped all aspirations of going to WWE.
Really? Never say
point,
never, man. Never say never.
Yeah, no, I mean, if something pops up, like, you know, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But, like, it's like, at this point, I don't care if I don't or not. I don't care if I remain an indie guy for the rest of my, probably at this point, I don't know, 10 years left where I can do this or whatever. I don't know.
Well, you do it because you love it, man.
I do. I even if I do want to travel as much as I can and spread my name as much as I can. And if I stay indie for the rest of my career, so be it. But I do want to I wouldn't mind going to AEW, Impact, all that fun stuff.
Absolutely. And there is opportunity, man. Even being an extra, you get that TV exposure, man. It's really, like I said, it's really cool to see, man. It's awesome to see. You talk about traveling. Is there anywhere particular you want to go? Just like travel around doing the drives? Are you talking like Japan? Like, what are you thinking?
Japan, yes, but not specifically for New Japan. Because for one, I don't think New Japan would want me because the style is different.
Never say never. Yeah.
Like DDT. Because they're more of the gimmicky stuff over in Japan. And I love Japanese comedy wrestling. It's like so weird and fucking trippy. It's great. I love it. I want to do Europe, England, Germany, all the usual stuff. I also want to wrestle in places like you didn't think would have wrestling. Like I want to wrestle in like obscure countries or something, or countries not necessarily known for having big independent wrestling scenes. Like in August, I was into September, I was in Greece. And they have a wrestling company over there. And the last day I was in Athens, I trained with them for a little bit. And so there's connections there, hopefully. That'd be wonderful.
Wow.
But yeah, I just want to travel as much as I can.
I love that, man. Pay attention to guys. Ray Kalitri, we have him on the show all the time. He is just traveling, wrestling the world.
You just went to Egypt, right?
You look at you know your stuff. JC Storm just wrestled over in Nepal. So, you know, it's all about making connections and stuff like that. People have seen some of our wrestling fashion stuff and book people, which is pretty cool to hear, man. I just want to see you guys succeed and I want to give it all back, man. And it's so cool to see everyone get that opportunity. But conversely, that opportunity can come to you too, because we talk about talent being able to work that AEW talent. We talk about forbidden doors, but to me, it's so cool to say, hey, you could be working a show in New York or New Jersey or Pennsylvania, whatever it is. And you're fighting someone from the Dark Order. You're fighting the Acclaimed. You're fighting Serpentico, man. Like, that's pretty cool. The Hardys right now are doing an indie run, man. For you right now, what's that like being an indie performer and having the chance to possibly compete against someone? But more importantly, who would you want to square off with maybe from AEW?
It's just really fun. I'll just tell you that. As far as someone I want to work with from AEW, someone I have technically worked with, it was for like a little comedy type of wrestling bit that we did in Extremely Serious Wrestling, which was like a comedy wrestling promotion here in the city.
I love the
where
name.
They do. It's basically like a mixture of sketch comedy and with some wrestling, where the ring is basically just like a gym mat and a caution tape. It's basically what it is.
Interesting. I like improv comedy. That sounds very interesting.
Oh, it's fun. I trained at UCB, so I know my improv stuff.
Really?
But
we'll talk about that later. But go ahead. I'm sorry. That's interesting.
The person that came there, I worked with twice as like one time was like as a manager for his opponent, and Another time in a quote unquote Rumble, called the Forever Game, it was Orange Cassidy.
The Forever Game. Really?
And that's someone I definitely want to like officially work with, like for real work with.
That would be very cool. Yeah, he's got a little bit of the comedy. He's obviously too cool for school, but very, very innovative in the ring.
He's someone I can definitely play off of very, very well.
I love that, man. How about on that indie level? Who would you want to work with that you haven't, or maybe someone you came up with, or someone you keep crossing paths with, but haven't been able to lock up with, or maybe just someone you've been watching?
There's quite a few. I don't know. I don't always think about that type of stuff. I'm always just usually very fortunate with whoever I'm given. But someone that currently tops my list of people I want to wrestle is, Kikutaro, right? He's a Japanese wrestler. He's got the pig mask.
Okay.
That's someone I definitely want to lock up there with because,
cool.
And you notice the pattern here. I'm listing mostly comedy guys, but I think that's where all the fun is. That's where the fun is.
It's different too, man. Those aren't the answers we typically get, man. I always like different. Yeah.
I'll give the generic answer. I'll wrestle anybody, because I can. I feel like I can mix it up with anybody. Serious, fun, whatever.
You talk about. Please.
Someone I came up with. Someone I've known since his very first day. Prince Ahmed, right?
I do. Wrestle Pro and.
No. That's Prince Josiah.
I'm thinking Josiah. I'm thinking there's a lot of wrestling guys. I apologize. I'm thinking Prince Josiah. Yes.
Prince Ahmed he's from Egypt. He was just on Wrestling Open recently.
Okay.
He's been to OVW. I knew him on his very first day, at Johnny Rod's place. So we started there.
Is that where you went? You went Johnny Rod's?
Yeah, right.
Another Johnny Rod's guy. Okay, so I'm trying to think who was that. Well, like PJ Savage. I'm trying to think who else. Was that those kind of crew? Who'd you train with?
Bougie, right?
Bougie, yeah. Who'd you train with?
Funny thing, I started like before them, so.
Okay, yeah, so you were before that class. Yeah, that class is riding a wave right now. That's very, very, very cool to see. And I think I from what I hear about there, it's really good training, but it's kind of like they don't let you fly out of the nest for a while, kind of.
Yes. I have all the love and respect for Johnny in the world for teaching me stuff and training me. But that whole thing is.
That's what I hear. Yeah. And I'm not knocking anybody. That's just what I'm not a wrestler. That's just what I hear.
It's true. And it's something that's unfortunate, but and I mean, there was a point, I just can't hit a point where I just felt like, okay, I kind of want to spread my wings. Am I just doing this for a hobby now? Or do I really want to do this? Which I respect if you want to do it for a hobby, just be honest with yourself. But I respect anyone that sets foot in a ring. So that's one thing. But I just felt like it was getting stale and I just wanted to leave.
Yeah.
That's all.
No, I've heard that story and again, I'm just an outsider looking in. I don't judge whatsoever, but again, that's why I came up because I remember hearing that story. And I think a lot of you guys coming out of that school, first of all great wrestlers. I think you were trained very well. And like you said it perfectly, it's time to spread your wings and fly. And that's so cool to see, man. You talk about towing that line between comedy and being serious. Talking about the serious stuff, we have a lot of the guys come in here, they call everyone out. Usually it's the heavyweight championships. Every once in a while, it's like the midweight champions. If it's the goddesses, they'll call it the goddesses championship, the women's championships. We see a lot of this gold collecting, these Thanoses. It's very interesting to see what different promotions are doing. Is there a title that you're targeting? Is there someone you want to tag with? What are you kind of looking to do here on the indies? Are you not so much about the gold and all that?
I do. I would be lying if I said I didn't want to be a champion at some point, but I'm all for the story building to get there. I don't want to just be thrown into a title thing. Like I don't think I deserve it. So I don't want to be thrown into any of those situations.
You don't think you deserve it?
I mean, yeah. I need to prove myself more at more places, honestly.
Okay.
Any title in Pro Wrestling Magic, I would love to go for.
Oh, okay. There it is.
Pro Wrestling Magic was one of the first companies that sort of really gave me a shot at stuff, so I owe them a whole lot.
Same.
So a lot of people I want to team with. There's some guy in New England named Perry Von Vicious. You know who he is?
No, I love the name though. That's amazing.
New England guy, great guy. I love him. he's my wrestling father. We have a whole thing where we're like, oh, hey, hey, dad. Oh, hey, son, how are you? And he likes to call himself Sid Vicious's nephew. So he always references Uncle Sid. And I'm like, oh, Grand Uncle Sid? Great.
Nice.
And I just think it'd be funny, especially considering he's only like 5 years older than me. So I think it's hilarious that we would be doing that. I always like the Irish, this outlandish stuff. So that's someone I would love to team up with. There's some other guys in New England. There's a guy named Kirby Wackerman who has a hard head, and I have hard abs. Call ourselves a rock in a hard place.
I love it. I love that. Clever.
There's just so many things I want to do right now. So, and like, yeah, I don't know.
I think we're gonna let you join our little group, the hashtag Pundisputed era. I like your comedy bits here. I like the way your mind works, man. And speaking of the comedy and stuff like that, you mentioned this earlier. I was a big fan of. I love playing the drums. Like that's my thing. That's the thing I feel that I've almost mastered. And I know about the wrestling and the backstage interviewing and commentary. I'm just learning and having a lot of fun. Yeah. But you talked about improv comedy, and I love just watching. I don't like doing it or anything like that, but in high school, we'd always go to Improv Jam, the Internet Cafe, Red Bank, New Jersey. Like I was friends with a lot of those guys who did it. And I just remember just crying and having the best time with my friends from laughing. And so you were you an improv guy, or you just did some improv and then went to wrestling?
Well, I actually kind of started them around the same time, 2014, cool. Literally like probably a couple weeks apart, honestly.
I feel like that would go hand in hand real nice.
And that's kind of that was my reasoning behind it. Like, I feel like if I do good at improv and like master that, it would help me with my stuff in the ring. And on some occasions it has helped me. I'll give it that. Timing stuff, comedic timing.
Yes.
What was I gonna say? I did start. I started at I did UCB. Signed up for my first improv class in their 101 class. Like literally a couple weeks after I signed up at Johnny Rod's. And then throughout the years, I went through their improv program. Sometimes it took like a couple years apart because they were at that point really difficult to get in because they're so high demand. It's UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade, is like the top place to get trained in improv.
Oh, I just now realized what you meant when you were saying UCB so many times.
Yeah,
Upright
Citizens Brigade. Yeah,
sure.
I did their improv and met a few people there, and eventually, for like a year, we started an improv group. We went around doing some improv in like basements of places and bars, whatever, for like a year. And then after that, it kind of after that, we all just quietly left, disbanded. And then since then, I haven't really done too much with all that. But with all after the pandemic, pretty much almost all the theaters are closed now.
Yeah,
UCB went down. The Pit went down. The Pit went down. People's Improv Theater. And it's like I'm desperately just trying to find ways I can just go to an improv jam at some point to just.
The one down here is literally called Improv Jam. I don't know if it's still going.
It's like open mic for improv. It's just something I would really love to brush up on. I also did the sketch comedy at UCB and the Pit. I fell more in love with sketch comedy than improv.
Okay.
And if you see any of the content I put out on the social media for my gimmick stuff, I tend to try and embody some of that and just make them like little sketches just wing it too.
I love that. I'm all about that. I mean, can we somehow bring the improv scene? I mean, things are opening up again and, obviously safety first. Can we bring improv back in some form or fashion, man? I feel like that's a great date night. That's a great hangout with your friends. I want to go to Improv Jam now, man. Are you from, are you from like the Northeast here? You're a Jersey guy, New York? Where are you from?
New York City.
New York City guy. What's the pizza spot? We always ask.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy. If you want like high class, fancy pizza, go to Arturo's.
Okay, see, but fancy pizza is like another, like you watch the pizza reviews. It's another really good. It's good. Okay.
As far as like regular,
like if I'm in New York and I want to get a slice, a New York slice, not the Neapolitan, not the fancy, not the margarita, just a solid, a really good slice. Like, do you have a spot?
I just like pizza, so don't go to those 99-cent pizza bullshit gimmicks. Those are only if you're really in a pinch. But that's
okay. I got you.
There's a couple places. There's one place in my neighborhood called Coronet.
Okay.
Not Jim Cornette. It's Coronet.
Nice.
Coronet.
Okay.
They have like jumbo slices where they have like it's like a huge slice of like plain, and it's really good.
And
But,
it's
like,
good because sometimes you get those huge slices and they're not good.
and they're like relatively cheap too, like $5.50 for that, or like probably
Okay.
there maybe at this
New
point.
York prices, that's solid too. Yeah.
It's pretty good, honestly. And it's kind of new actually. It's like it just opened in my neighborhood like more recently. But like as far as like regular my favorite pizza joint in my neighborhood before that closed down and is now replaced by a stupid chain pizza place.
That stinks, man. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Outside of wrestling, I mean, obviously we talked about improv and comedy, all that stuff. I always like to ask like a non-wrestling question. Outside of wrestling, what are you into? Like, obviously you mentioned the comedy, but like, are you an artist? Do you play music? Do you collect something? Like, I always like to know a little factoid about people.
I've been a bit of a writer's block lately, but I do like to do sketch comedy.
Cool.
I like to write sketches and all that stuff, and
Like an SNL style, yeah.
yeah. And before wrestling, I still have the aspiration, but wrestling is kind of taken over. And who knows, I could do this someday, like to become like a screenwriter. That's something I like doing too. And who knows, it could still happen. I've not given up on that, but like wrestling kind of took over. And like I didn't abandon it; it just kind of took a back seat a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how it goes with everything going on in the world, man. Abs, I do want to be very respectful of your time, man. I appreciate you coming on, but I do want to ask you this one, man. This is our favorite one to ask everybody. It's not hard hitting, though. We're not like that. What band or artist, you get that WrestleMania entrance, right? What band or artist plays you down in the ring?
Block Party.
Whoa, I forgot they existed. Wow, Block Party, really?
My music taste is very eclectic.
Yeah.
Block Party is really odd. They're like my favorite like band as far as that genre goes. I'm not in like controversial take. I'm not like completely into like the classic rock type of stuff,
Yeah,
you know.
you're into.
But like the more modern, like Sum 41 and Linkin Park were the stuff I like first like grew up like you know when I got out of my boy band phase. I got into heavy to like Linkin Park and Sum 41, and then from there just sort of boom, like took off from there. But now like I love experimental stuff. Like you know Sigur Rós? They're like this band from Iceland.
I don't.
It's like this really it's cool stuff. It's like experimental, soft, ambient rock, but like also like and like think of Bjork. I also am a big fan of Bjork.
Cool.
I'm also a big fan of Bjork.
That's
Not
awesome. That's
from Iceland, but
that's the best thing about music. You know, there's so many. There's no wrong way to listen. Like it's amazing. There's so many different styles. Yeah. I love music. That's where I came from, man.
But it's like as far as like playing me out, like Block Party makes the most sense at this point because I feel like I love Silent Alarm and A Weekend at the City. Those are my favorite albums of theirs.
Wow, Block
Party. I would love to hear them play Banquet as I come out to the ring.
Wow, that's perfect. I think I saw them. I went to a taping. It was either Conan or Seth or something. It was something, and I think they were their musical guest. I think if I remember correctly.
They're great.
Block Party. Wow.
I just saw them recently, a few years ago, and they played at Summer Stage in Central Park.
Oh, that's always a good time. That sounds amazing.
Hell yeah.
Can't beat that. Abs. So thank you so much for taking the time, man. It was good to kind of get to know you a little bit better, man. That's why I love having you all on the podcast. But before we get out of here, we want to see Abs booked everywhere. We are all about that shameless promo here on the BCP. We got a lot of promoters listening, always talking trash in the chat. We know they're going to be talking trash in the chat later. Tell everyone where they can book you, hit you up, follow you on socials, and tell the fans where they can get that app, 8x10, the merch, shirts, anything you got.
All right. So as far as social media, I'm mostly more active on Twitter and Instagram. So on Twitter, I am at not fake abs all caps. And Instagram also not fake abs not all caps. So that's lowercase. As far as my merch, you could check out my What a Maneuver store. That's where most of my shirts are. I don't have like a whole extensive line of merch yet, but working on it. There's plenty of fun little gimmicks I can throw out there.
Nice. Love it, man.
And yeah, check me out wherever I am.
I'll be sure to give you a follow. Guys, of course, follow Abs. Guys, if you're listening, book Abs. I've seen him do some great stuff, and I think he's going to be in some good storylines. I love the stuff you're doing with the Goons, man, and just stay safe out there traveling, man. Thank you for making the time for the show. Continued success to you moving forward, my man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Very much appreciated.
You're not worthy. And like we always say here on the BCP, everyone stay safe, stay positive, take care of each other. We are out. Peace.